My name is Matthew Kim, and I'm currently a junior at Sealy High School. The church has always been a big part of my life, as my parents would take me, mostly against my will, every Sunday ever since I was born. Now, what exactly is the church? Most people might say it's a place people go to worship or pray. Others might say it's a place my family drags me to every weekend. The dictionary defines it as a place Christians go to worship and pray. So maybe most people's definitions are spot on, right? Well, on the surface, yes, but when we peer deeper into what the church is, this is not the actual definition. The actual definition of the church is the people in place that make up a faith community. What this means is that we are the church. Sure, the church is a physical building, but without parishioners like us, it would just be a building, nothing more. There are a lot of people with a lot of roles in the church. Father is the priest, Rob is the youth minister, there are greeters, there are community ministers. I, for example, am a music player and just a general aid around the church. This definition of what my role is has changed over the years. I used to be a grumpy kid who would be there at 8:30 if we were lucky, but typically 8:45. Then I was a kid who went to PSR whose mom would drag him out of bed and volunteer him to do things like help with a fish fry or help with officers. And now I play music, teach 8th grade PSR, and I'm one of the peer ministers with Rob's senior high youth nights, as well as help with VBS whenever our summers are free. As I said before, I wasn't always like this. My mom used to sign me up and guilt trip me into helping out with the church that, at the time, was simply just a place to me. After my confirmation, in a very cliche fashion, I felt that the Holy Spirit was sent down upon me, and I started to do things like play music for Mass, be an aide for PSR, and be more engaged during Mass in general. In doing this, it helped me with things like my performance anxiety, working with small children, peers, and adults. All things that I used to struggle with and still slightly do. However, it isn't all fine and dandy. It is a big time commitment. Having to manage my church schedule with my already busy schedule is definitely a struggle, and it definitely doesn't help that there aren't enough people helping out with the church. Now, there are a number of reasons for this, ranging from the time commitment to just not having the drive to help out. There are many ways to get past these barriers. Personally, for example, I started to get better at time management and was able to find time to help, as well as wanting to do more. Most people would call this Catholic guilt, but I knew I could be doing more for the church, but wasn't, and it was weighing heavily on my mind. So eventually, I worked up the courage to tell my mom. And my mom, for those people who don't know, is really, really scary that I wanted to do more, and if she could reach out to John if I could play music. As I played, I found that I wanted to come to church and eventually a senior high youth night in PSR. It gave me a place to belong and a place to do what I love play music, teach people, and hang out with friends. No, I don't like waking up early or taking the time out of my day, but when I'm there, I enjoy myself and find myself wanting to be there. Another part of the church that isn't as known, and this goes back to my definition of the church, is that people love the church and see it as a part of their family. Now, you can see people at Senior High Youth Night, PSR, and church and other church events and recognize them. For example, I know that my family is almost always, at least, at 8 a.m. Mass in the Mass section. And I know that John will always be either at the piano or organ, and Father will either be at his chair or at the altar, or somewhere around there, at least. However, I don't always get to know what people feel or think about the church. While one person could feel indifferent and couldn't care less about the church, I also realize that people feel as though the church is their home and their family. I don't know about you guys, but realizing that my contributions to the church not only helped me, but also the church community, it revitalized my wanting to be at church. Now, you may be asking yourselves, that's great and all that it helped you, but how on earth does this help me? Well, I can't really make you do anything. However, what I can tell you is that working with the church is very rewarding, and I strongly encourage you all to get involved. Whether through coming to volunteer at other events, spreading your talents with the church, such as playing music or organizing different events, teaching a PSR class, or simply anything else that can be done. If you need help finding something, ask Rob, John, or just anyone around the church, hey, what can I do to help? Now, to sort of illustrate this in a mental picture, sadly, I don't have cookies for you. Imagine a bad cookie. Now, what makes a bad cookie? Well, there's likely something missing or too much of something. This would represent what it's like when we don't have enough people to hang out to help out with the church, or when one person within the church is trying to do too much. There's something missing, or there's too much of something, like there's no sugar or there's too much salt. However, if we're able to put this all together properly, such as the right amount of sugar, the right amount of salt, the right amount of flour, and the right baking time, it's able to function properly. Jesus promised us to send the Holy Spirit down upon us, and he did for me. The Holy Spirit gave me the courage to start doing for the church and not be influenced by my Catholic guilt. While the ways the Holy Spirit affected me were very obvious and in plain sight, I've noticed that it also works a bit mysteriously at times as well. Whether from giving me the grace to forgive people or allowing me to guess right on a test that I had no clue what I was doing, the Holy Spirit works in many ways that we may not even realize. Jesus fulfilled his promise and is continuing to do so by sending us the Holy Spirit. Even if it doesn't seem like it's working its magic, accept the Holy Spirit and that it is there, and choose to do more within the church and within your life. Thank you.